With the Supreme Court granting interim bail to Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal, we are being joined by Supreme Court advocate and his advocate Shadaan Farasat, who will tell us the intricacies of this order. So my first question to you would be, how big the relief is, sir?
No, it's a very important relief. I think because we had challenged the arrest itself, the court found that obviously some questions required consideration by a larger bench. So some of the legal aspects they have not yet answered. Although one very important aspect they have answered in this is that just for the purpose of interrogation, you cannot arrest a person under PMLA if the other requirements of the section 19, which is sets a high threshold for arrest, are not met. Insofar as the release of Mr. Kejriwal is concerned, obviously he is already, like the court itself noted in the order, he spent a substantial time, 90 days in custody, except those small 20-day period when he was out for campaigning. And so he's gone a substantial incarceration, and the court has taken judicial notice of that and thereafter directed immediate release. Of course, this also, because there was a bail order by the trial court also in the meantime, and that order to sort of circumvent that release, CBI had then sought arrest, and that arrest is also, he's in JC in respect of that. So the CBI bail, which is pending before the High Court, that is coming up early next week. So we are hopeful that some relief should happen quickly in that as well, and so that he can finally come out of custody.
So what ramifications are you seeing this order of the ED will have on other ED cases or the CBI cases also?
So I think one point is very clear, that the Supreme Court has already partly considered very closely on what parameters an investigative agency, in particular the Enforcement Directorate, can arrest. And certain further questions on those aspects, which are also in terms of requirement of necessity of arrest, in addition to the protection. So it's noted the protections which are already existing, and it has said, are there certain additional protections on arrest? On that aspect, they have referred it further. So I think the court as an institution is looking at arrest by investigative agencies, in particular Enforcement Directorate, very closely, and the parameters on which a person can be arrested, because of course there has been a lot of these arrests, and a lot of these arrests have been of political opponents, and therefore there's a legitimate question of misuse of these laws. And I think the court is quite conscious that its interpretation of the law should be such that any potential misuse can and should be prevented.
So is it right to say that under the guise of Arvind Kejriwal's bail order today, a lot of things about the PMLA will be sorted out by the bigger bench of this Supreme Court?
Yeah, so I would not use the phrase under the guise, because whenever a case comes before any court, in certainly the Supreme Court, a legal question arises, they answer those questions in accordance with what they feel is the right legal position. And therefore, when this case has arisen, and there is question, we challenge the arrest. So obviously the Supreme Court then will be answering the intricacies of what all are the protections which exist in respect of prior to arresting a person under the PMLA. And I think it's an opportune moment for the Supreme Court, and they have used it already, and remaining questions a larger bench will answer.
So what will be the legal strategy for Arvind Kejriwal now in the CBI case?
No, the matter is already pending. Early next week, as I mentioned, is going to come. That arrest was anyway seemingly an afterthought by the CBI once he got bail in the ED case. But be that as it may, that will be heard, I think, very, very promptly now. And the Supreme Court has also observed that the incarceration has been quite substantial. And in fact, if you look at it, the argument of ED was substantially also on the CBI case. In fact, they argued the entire CBI case and in addition some other things. So the same thing has been argued twice in two different proceedings, really speaking. So after today's relief, I'm quite optimistic that even in the CBI case, the relief should come rather quickly.
So here we are with the advocate completely saying that the larger bench of the Supreme Court will have to now decide the necessity of arrest in such cases. With camera person Lokendra Pandey, this is Khanna for India Today.